And at last, the main event of this extras video, we are now going to have a look at all the gem extras that come with the collection of all 96 gems in the game. Before we actually look at those though, one quick look at the pause screen. You know what I always found odd about this? The yellow gem is the only one that sparkles. I don't know why I brought that up, just seemed a little weird to me. So yeah. We have all the gems on every stage. Every last one of them. And with that, we can now look at all the extras. Let's just go down the list and see what we can, starting with the blue gem extras. This will show us all the different boss images in the game. That one was of Mecha Bandicoot, and here's Tikimon. Sorry if I'm going through these a little quickly, we just have a lot that we need to go through, so I'm going through this as quickly as I can. And Jin was barely a boss at all. There's Embryo and End Trophy. Dingodile looks pretty ugly in the Twinsanity art style. Looks like there's a story behind that picture. And there's the final boss. Alright, that covers it for the blue gem. Now let's have a look at the clear gem, which are mini-movies. We only have a few to look at here, but here's a weird-looking one. Well, that was different. On to number 2. This looks like the, some sort of robot that's been animated. It's a nice walking animation, I'll give them that, but otherwise not much to look at. Here's one of Crash's idle animations. Here's what looks like what could have been an idle animation, but did not make it into the game. Too bad, it would have been funny. But for the crystal holding animations, they just gave them all of regular Crashes. As for movies 5 through 16, they're all basically just repeats of the cutscenes that we've already seen throughout the game. I see no point in showing these again, so I'm going to skip them. Moving on to the green gem. Here we get to see some enemy art. He's been doing this for 10 stinking years. That's a classic. Good old Papu Papu and the natives. And Farmer Ernest. Where the heck did you come from? And why are you in the enemy artwork? I always thought he was like a friend of Crash, but whatever. Hey, you're that enemy from Crash 2. What are you doing here? And why didn't we see you anywhere? That's Rusty Walrus. He'll make fresh meat for your pot, alright. And those rhinos that we saw aboard Engine's battleship. The hog. Those little rats aboard Engine's ship. And now we're starting to get into the Academy of Evil enemies. I don't remember any enemies like those. I don't remember that. See, now we're starting to get into unfamiliar ground. Do you remember any rats with magnets on their heads? Here's one of those experimental frogs. And that's some sort of janitor robot. Killer gargoyles. And ants. We saw plenty of ants. They're the primary enemy of the 10th dimension. Fire ants. And the drill ant. What are you doing here? You should have been in the Academy of Evil set. Well, whatever. That's it for the green gems. Now let's look at the purple gem stuff. Concept art. Cortex was apparently late for poker night. And here's some artwork of Tiny, who was a planned character to be in this game in some way at some point. That's a pretty neat picture of Crash there. And facial expressions. Mecha Bandicoot. That actually looks pretty good. And we actually saw this picture on Crash's towel back at the start of the game. Here's Totem Hokum concept art. And the other islands. Here's the fight with Tikimon, and for some reason Crash is wearing white gloves. And all the main bad guys, who are after the treasure, and for some reason Entrance is in there too, even though we never saw him in the game. Perhaps he was planned as well. Looks like Ice Climb here. Slip Slide Ice Capades, the first of the Humiliscate stages. What is Uka Uka so happy about? More Humiliscate. More Humiliscate. And Engine's Battleship. Oh, Embryo. They show us some shots of the ship deck, but we never actually went up there, so yeah. There's that boat that we rode to get from Twinsanity Island to Iceberg Labs. Looks like you were able to do stuff on it before. And there's Coco riding an ostrich, and as we all know, Coco was a planned playable character for this game, and this is an unused harbor level, where we would have faced off with the Komodo brothers in a race of some sort. That would have been fun to see. Here's a rooftop rampage. If only we could ride the bus. Would have been a lot easier than running away from it. I don't know what this is, but it looks 10th Dimension-esque, so I'm guessing it's that. How neat would it have been to play in a black and white world where only you were in color? Ugh, look at Evil Crash here. Rock Slide Rumble. And here's a scene where Crash and Cortex have switched personalities, so now Crash is evil and Cortex is good. And then they have to fight each other to get switched back. Again, another concept that didn't make it into the game. Here's the gang outside Evil Crash's house. Coco's there too, see her? And here's an Uka tree level where you would have played as Nina, as Engine was chasing after everyone again. Rusty Walrus is in there somewhere too. I don't know what this level is, but it sure looks fun. It's a shame this didn't make it in. Reminiscing on the past. Okay, now we move on to the red gems. This is all the storyboard art that was used to design how the cutscenes would work throughout the game. Again, as we already saw the cutscenes in the game, I don't plan on showing all the storyboard art. However, I will show a few, particularly the ones that are different, or show significant differences based on how we saw it in the game. See, here's Cortex doing the little tutorial level. The spikes broke her fall. his. He's gender confused. Alright, let's look at Totem Hokum. Crash just follows the path along, finds Cortex hiding behind a bush. You have to help me, Crash! They want to destroy our island home! Oh, Cortex, you are such a fool. It's pretty interesting how they play out the storyboard art here. So far, pretty well lined up. I like the look on the bear's face here. Here it looks like they're gonna skewer him. But it is pretty nicely drawn, I'll give it that. It looks like they had a lot of fun making this. And here's the part where Crash gets chased out of the village. Alright, moving on to Ice Climb. At this part, they are arriving at the Psychotron for the first time, where they're greeted by the evil twins via their magic door. Trick or treat, trick or treat! Fools! Did you think they could defeat us? We have riches beyond the imagination, you know! And supposedly, as Cortex found out about this, so did N-Trophy, somehow. I guess he was somewhere nearby when they said it, and that's how they knew about it. At High Seas Hijinks, it's not explained otherwise. Forget I mentioned the riches, okay? And here's where Aku and Uka are thinking about sacrificing Cortex to the evil twins. Crash, I've been like a father to you! And God, look at the looks on those masks' face. Who are the real bad guys here? And here's where Crash and Cortex agree to team up. Alright. Now we'll look at Slip Slide Ice-Capades, where Cortex is contemplating how to get to the ship in time. And Crash has ideas. Boot! This scene is almost directly copy-pasted for Rock Slide Rumble as well. And here Dingodile is just enjoying a nice night by himself when he sees a snowball coming and closes the curtain. This would have been much funnier to see than him just being completely oblivious to what was happening. Followed by the quietest Crash ever, and Cortex and Crash walking away talking about the treasure, and that's why he goes and follows them. Alright, now for High Seas Hijinks. For some reason, Cortex decides to don Coco's outfit again to go aboard the ship. I guess he needed to go in disguised for some reason? He didn't want to be seen by N-Gin as working with Crash, so he disguised as Coco because it makes more sense for Crash and Coco to be going aboard the ship instead of Crash and I don't know. But at any rate, N-Gin seems to think she's the real deal, so he swipes her, goes to the top of the ship, ties her to a post, and then asks her to marry him. To be a sea bride, if you will. But N-Gin realizes that it's actually Cortex, and boy, does he feel foolish. Meanwhile, Crash falls through the roof and lands in Rusty's pot. I guess he's going to make fresh meat. Unless, of course, he hops out and runs away. Chase happens, then TNT happens. And Crash getting blasted all over the place. Here's where Embryo makes his transformation, jumps on the ice, and sends Crash flying back to Cortex Lab. Poor Crash is just getting flung around all over the place. Okay, let's look at Rooftop Rampage next. So we have the level proper, and the evil twins discover the trio are working together, I guess, and then they send an army of ants after them. They're all running away, but only Nina and Crash get away. And Cortex is left locked in a room with Madame Amberly, and a boss fight happens. I'm an evil scientist! To me, you're nothing but a little worm! Hey! Nice drawing there. Okay, we're gonna look at one more. Let's look at Bandicoot Pursuit. Here, Evil Crash has got Nina tied up and having a tea party of some sort. Let her go! Take me instead! Comes Cortex, and then Bandicoot Pursuit happens. But Cortex manages to outrun Evil Crash thanks to Crash. Meets up with Nina. But something's not quite right here. They look over into the distance, and who is that black figure there? Why, this is Evil Coco, an unused character who was supposed to appear in the 10th dimension along with Evil Crash. We never actually got to see any of her, but yeah, she was planned to be in the game too. Not playable, but in the game. Okay, now we'll have a look at the yellow gems. This is the unseen stuff, the stuff that didn't make it into the game. There's plenty more of it than what's being shown here, but this is mostly going to be enemies anyway. Behold the original design of the evil twins. They were a lot more ugly. I'm glad they went with the new design. And these fuzzy little enemies were supposed to appear in a stage called Gone a Bit Coco. They would have been enemies for Cortex to face. Cuteness doesn't suit him well. Upgraded ants, I guess? Here's an unused balloon stage. I have no idea what that is. A flying R2-D2? I don't know why that came to mind. And here's the original name of the game, Crash Bandicoot Twinsanity. Before they settled on just Twinsanity. Oh, no. And suddenly, Crash Bandicoot and the Black Knight. These things look like they would have been a pain. But probably beatable with a simple spin. Assuming they're not too hot to touch. Fire-breathing bats. They would likely have appeared in the fire caves, which would have been the ice climb equivalent of the 10th dimension. Here's another cutesy animal that would have appeared in Gone a Bit Coco. And I don't know who you are. Concept art of Evil Coco. This looks like an enemy that would have been in the fire caves as well. A billy goat of some kind. Oh boy, this thing looks like it would have been a boss for Crash, given the size difference. Apparently the ants would have had some flying machines as well. Who are these people? Cute little pig! Maybe it would have been a piece of wildlife for Insanity Island. A duck with a TNT box. That looks like it would be trouble. Probably beatable by jumping on it. these crocodiles would have appeared in the unused harbor level. Honestly, they look like the crockheads from Donkey Kong Country 2. I wonder if they would have operated similarly. Like you could bounce on their heads. Well, you look all kinds of ugly. A squid. This likely would have appeared in a level called Ocean Commotion. And flying squirrels. I suppose any jungle level would have worked for you. Another cutesy bear to appear in Gone a Bit Coco. They come in cars, too. Oh, yeah, and there's Coco's plate down there, or on the bumper there, confirming that's where it would come from. Some sort of phantom? Pitbull plant, maybe. I don't know. Well, you look like something that would have been from the 10th dimension, and we already saw you. And there's the Billy Goat again. Okay, so that's all the gem bonuses there. And with that, I've pretty much reached the end of the speaking part of this video, as I will end the video on this 100% video, this extra special video that you can only unlock for getting 100% in the game, as the name would imply. But that will do it for me. This has been The Red. I hope you enjoyed the series, and I hope you'll come by for the next video series. Till then, see you next time. I will now leave you with the video. See you then!
Okay, now, the two of you have been asked to begin these therapy sessions so that we can work through the conflict apparent in your relationship. This week we're going to do a trust exercise. Cortex, let's start with you. I would like you to fold your arms over your chest, close your eyes, and fall backwards. Okay, Crash, your job is easy. Just catch Cortex as he falls. We want Dr. Cortex here to know that he is in a safe place.
I don't think this is going to work. He's an idiot. I don't even like him, let alone trust him. It's just that I have a fear of falling. Okay, fine. Let's do the silly exercise. I'm in a safe place. I'm in a safe place. I'm in a safe place.